Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we are looking at a Game 5 that we weren't sure we'd have, but here we are back in Boston as the Mavs were able to extend this thing a little bit longer. We have player props up in this episode for you. Also got a best bets episode up as well, as we're doing each and every day that we have finals games now for the rest of this year. So make sure to subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with both episodes. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Use that prop finder tool that we have up there on the site under the NBA tab. Nice little chart for you to see all of the books that are giving us bets, get the best odds and lines that are out there for you. Make sure you're getting the most of your money on these plays. Nate, let's go ahead and jump right into your first play of prop here for the fifth game of this series.
Yeah, Luka Doncic under 40.5 points and assists, which is still minus 102 here. Despite the fact that enough money has come in to move it down from 41.5 where it was after a nice game 4 for the Mavs. Like, I mean, the assists are not really happening. Like we talked about the game 2 outlier where he just went absolutely nuclear. The only time Boston has sent some help and he got 8 assists in the second half off that. If you take away game 2, though, he's averaging 4 dimes per game in the series, only 22 potentials. The last 2 in particular, like almost every potential assist has come home for him. And we know in game 1, like only 1 of 7 came home because Boston's just staying home on the bread and butter, right? I mean, no corner threes, no lobs. They got a couple of those things here in game 4 because Boston just completely let go of the rope. But like, I don't think you can read too much into what happened there as far as what Boston's going to be like. You're playing on a string, playing absolutely rabid to try to get this championship and not feel the insane pressure of going game 6 and maybe game 7 if they don't capitalize on this one. So, I mean, pressure helps you on defense for sure. It might not help you put the ball in the basket on the other end or hit open shots, which, remains to be seen for these Celtics. But I mean, they will be absolutely disciplined to the game plan, and all over Luka and a problem for him. I mean, he's gotten his points here, but like the reason he's so effective in the first quarter and first half and then slows down is because he has to work so hard for these points. Like these are not effortless, right? I mean, Boston it has the weapons to throw at him, mainly Jalen and Drew, and they have worn him down. So I mean, like if he's only looking at maybe he gets above the 4 assists he's averaging, maybe he gets 6 or 7. Do you really think he's going to score 34 points on these dudes? Like I said in best bets, like he is not like a LeBron James type character in terms of just like completely like dominating in the face of this environment and out on the stage against this competition. Like it'd be one thing if it was a team that he could control, like the Minnesota Timberwolves, but this is not a good matchup for him. As soon as things start to go kind of sour, he does, kind of start looking at the refs. We'll see if that lasts more than one game in terms of his positivity. Easy to be positive when you're up 40. And he's just, mostly been motivated by coming back after a loss. And so now he just doesn't quite have that. In game 3, I mean, the foul hunting, the inability to score in isolation, even on guys like Xavier Tillman and Peyton Pritchard, it was like, damn, what's wrong with Luka? I mean, and that to me just points to like the stamina where it's like it took so much out of him to get his 20 in the first half that he could not quite sustain it and drop the 35 that you basically need to go over this prop.
Definitely think he needs 35 to get over this. And I could see him getting 35 and not getting over it, right? Maybe getting 5 assists once again. The other thing, so I agree with everything that you just said about Luka. The thing that was going on in game 3 was, I mean, when he tried to up fake against Peyton Pritchard 6 feet from the basket in order to draw a foul against Peyton Pritchard, it's like, dog, just shoot over him. What are you foul hunting someone who's at your waist? That makes no sense. And then, yeah, the other thing that makes it easy to not complain to the refs is when you get every call in game 4, I would strongly argue that Jason Tatum had 4 different plays going to the rim. You could have called a foul on Dallas against, and Luka had like 3 to 4 where it was like, well, he up faked and he got the foul call. I didn't really see that foul call in the other games from these refs. So it was the first time I truly was like, wow, maybe Scott Foster really is the extender again in that last game because he was heading that crew. But I'm with you on this in part because I don't care how many points he gets in the first half. The other way he's not like LeBron James is, just being in shape, man. I mean, LeBron could run for days. And I'm not saying Luka's like out of shape. He's a professional NBA athlete. He's clearly in shape. not LeBron James shape and not like Kobe Bryant, Ray Allen, guys who just don't wear down in a finals kind of shape, right? Steph Curry, obviously, no, he's carrying a bit more weight, but so is LeBron, man. Like, I don't want to hear any type of stuff like that. I think one thing that Luka is going to learn, 25-year-old Luka is going to learn after this series is, there's a difference between being in shape for even the beginning of the playoffs and being in shape for a final series like this one. So I think that'll get better as he gets older, hopefully, as he learns. But yeah, he ain't there yet. So one man who you don't have to question is his stamina is Kyrie Irving. That's for sure. But I'm still going under 28.5 points and assists for him as well. Doesn't really seem like we're giving the Mavs much of a chance to win here if we don't think their stars are going to come out really, really strong. But 28.5 points and assists for Kyrie. I wanted to find a way to just fade him once again, coming back to Boston. I mean, a lot of this is just going to be like Kyrie do no good at Boston after Kyrie leave Boston. It's really that simple. He's got 2 games now where he actually has 39 points in both those games since he left. One was on Brooklyn. Actually both were on Brooklyn, excuse me. Both games that he's actually gone over these numbers were on Brooklyn, and he had 39 points, still only averaging about 3.5 assists against this team since he's played them. And this is at Boston. So he's played them 10 times now. He's gone over twice. Like I said, both of those overs were on Brooklyn, getting 39 points because there was no KD in the playoffs. That was both of those. It was just, all right, this Brooklyn squad doesn't have Harden or KD now, so it looks like Kyrie's got to do everything for us in that series against Boston. But other than that, like 22.7 points per game, with that's including the 39-point outburst as well. 22.7 points per game, 3.9 assists per game. So averaging about 26.5 points and assists in the 10 games that he's played at Boston, under and comfortably in all 3 since he's gotten to the Mavs. His most points now at Boston was 20 in that regular season matchup there. But under in 7 of his last 10 there, last 5 as well when he's played in Boston, 15 a game, 3 assists. That's all in 37.5 minutes. So not like he was, it was a blowout that he just didn't play, and he's been getting 37 or more minutes or so in all 3 of these, or all 5 of these last games that he's played at the Garden. In the playoffs overall as well, I kind of mentioned in the best bets video, like I'm happy to just sort of use the sample size of the playoffs now to go like, all right, well, if you're getting good odds for something that is a low average for a player that we've seen in a big enough sample size to take the under, then I will. And he's gone consistently under this 13 of 21 playoff games. He's gone under the 28.5 PA, averaging 27.2. So no, not fully under, but at minus 115, there's still a decent enough edge for me to take this with the odds based on how he's played in the offs up to this point. And add the fact, like I said, that he's at Boston. Something just is awry there because the shots aren't falling. There's probably a lot of internal strife going on. That still trying to burn some sage around the court pregame and whatever rituals he has. It just isn't going to work for him, to be honest. And the away stuff in the playoffs, I know we've talked about how good the Mavs are on the road. Luka's been the away guy on the in the playoffs. He's the one who has actually much better numbers on the road in the offs this year than does Kyrie, who's actually played a little bit better at home. Interestingly, the books don't seem to think Kyrie is going to keep up the scoring that he had from the last 2 games either. And granted, he didn't go under in the last game, but he was on pace to do so. He ended with 21, right? And could have continued going, I'm sure, if he had to in the fourth quarter. But now we're still talking about a situation where, like, I worry that this thing's going to get out of control at some point. I worry that if Kristaps is in there too, that's another big problem for a guy like Kyrie, who had a ton of trouble with a healthy Kristaps in game 1. I mean, the fact that Kristaps suited up, it could still be a plenty of mind games. We should mention that, like, he impacts all of this a ton, does KP, if he's in there, even for like 20 minutes, 17 minutes. I still think he has a major impact on guys like Kyrie, who, if he's able to be 7'3" and standing in the paint, doesn't really need to jump too high to be able to challenge a guy like Kyrie and really alter that shot. So we'll see what happens there. I'm not banking on KP. I think there's been a ton of gamesmanship, right, from the Celtics. So I think that continues. Like, even with him suiting up, I think that was just the equivalent of him putting on a Halloween costume last game. I don't think he was really ever going to step foot on the floor for legit minutes. But you even had Joe Maz saying, like, yeah, we're going to use him sparingly. And if they do want to use him sparingly, if they are able to use him sparingly in game 5 here, then I think it'll be in those moments where it's like, yo, we need you to go make sure that Kyrie knows he's not allowed to come into the paint anymore without getting 2 giant arms, well above him, like Kristaps. So I just think everything's ripe for Kyrie to go under once more after 2 overs, or at least 2 really good games at home, going right back to the under and the Garden for him.
Yeah, interesting. Like the physical weakness of Luka Doncic, his stamina, and then the mental weakness of Kyrie Irving, which he brought on himself. Like, he had all the stamina in the world, but yeah, he's in his own head at this point about what he's done to the Celtics franchise, and it doesn't help that you have maybe the greatest defensive backcourt of all time, like on you. Like,
Sure doesn't.
I mean, in terms of like shutting up Stan Van Gundy, is those two guys if they could just close the deal with a great defensive performance and keep both these guys under the prop, then you expect the Celtics to win for sure. And I expect Sam Hauser to keep getting a couple points here. I mean, over 5.5 points, which is about the same odds as hitting 2 threes. And I mean, that's where you expect them to come from. So not really much value either way here. But I mean, if you want to do 2 threes in the money line with Hauser, that's plus 150 for the Celtics here. And I mean, you can like throw out, you'd be like, oh, garbage time last game if you want, but like, I mean, first of all, he's played 15 minutes per game in non-garbage time the last 2. Like, he's been a big part of the rotation, but and he's now 6 for 9 from 3 in game action. And that's just going to lead to more confidence for him, who was, he was slumping in that Indy series. And that's why I have to abdicate to Josh, because coming into this one, he wanted to take a Peyton Pritchard under in game 1. And I was like, what about Sam Hauser? Like, he can't hit anything right now. And then, the thing is on defense, like, yeah, Peyton Pritchard is not really surviving. And then he hasn't been able to cash in anything on offense. So that's the point is, like, that's going to lead to more minutes for Hauser because they need size with Porzingis presumably out of the rotation, like you laid out there. They need spacing with Cornette and Tillman being the option to spell Horford and give them that size. And I mean, Horford might even struggle the way he's been called out by Luka on the other end, right? I mean, and Hauser's D has actually been pretty damn good. Like, the number is opponents shooting 44% against him, but like the eye test is really like that Luka has not been able to bully him. Like, he's not done well when he has gotten that switch, and that's been the case all year. Is like teams like blowing up their offense trying to go at Sam Hauser, and the Celtics like good. Like, he's a good defender. He's like 6'9" and rangy and strong, so he can stay on the floor. He also can rebound and is averaging 3.7 in the series. So if you want to go over 7.5 points rebounds, don't hate that for the same odds here. But I just think, yeah, you mean knockdown shooter who's going to get his opportunities and has the ability to both do the no dip 3 that we've seen, right? And also to pump fake on that no dip and then get himself completely wide open for a clean look. And I mean, with Luka guarding him, right, those clean looks have been a lot easier to come by as he's getting the tail end of the Luka minutes too. Like, not even like a primary matchup, but like coming in at the end of the first, Luka loses him, and it's like, oh yeah, and he's just been knocking him down.
Yeah, he looks comfortable. He looks really, really comfortable in this series. You're right about that. 2.5 boards is really nice plus money. I believe you can still get about plus 130 for him to get 3 boards, which, like you said, he's averaging in this series. And I mean, the rebounding for Boston, pretty sporadic. It's almost just worth it at this point to take it for him because of the way that the Mavs are switching, or hunting, I should say, and the Celtics are switching on the screens. It does lead to just like no consistency with who's on what spot of the floor for Boston, especially as Luka now continues to hunt Jason Tatum, which is wild. Like, not even any shade to Tatum, honestly. Like, yes, he can't really guard Luka one-on-one. Not many people can, to be fair. Jaylen Brown definitely doing the best at it in this series, but even as Brown continues to get switched off of Luka, and it's fine. Like, they're fine with it. It does lead to Sam Hauser, even if he's hunted, if he's not, when he's not hunted and he's able to like maintain sort of staying a little bit more of a free safety role for Sam Hauser, not like they're relying on it, but he's just a little bit more in different spots of the floor. Like, there's no reason he can't just pull down 3. He has multiple times already, like you said, averaging it. I like adding the rebounds. I fine with the threes too. He's got a very high percentage. He went over 5 in game 2. Other than that, made all of them in game 1, and then only missed 1 in the next couple of games. Like, really, just it looks good. It looks really good. Like you said, the no dip 3 is crazy how well he's able to do that as well. So Klay Thompson-esque, if you will. But I'm gonna go with another under here, man. It's the end of the season, dude. Like, let's even if you guys see Jason Tatum or somebody come out and put up 18 to 20 points in the first half, don't be surprised if they continue to go under numbers. So I'm taking under PRA for Tatum, 43.5. Minus 118 too for that one, which I'm still really good with. But again, using playoff numbers here, under in 12 of 18 playoff games, averaging 40.3 PRA. And so, pretty comfortably under this as well. At home, actually a little bit worse with the PRA. They're under in 10 of 12 home games so far in the playoffs, which, to be fair, like if he's going under consistently, he's probably doing it at home. They've had way more home games as they close out series in 5 pretty consistently here, right? But now we're talking about him still getting like the same amount of minutes, up about 40, but I'm not worried about it at all. If you look at the boards for him, I do think there's clear correlation in the last 2, him not getting his rebound prop tied directly to him having to guard Luka Doncic, right? Which I was looking at, but I've been considering, like before that, I was really like, maybe we should go under Jaylen Brown rebounds and assists because he's the one guarding Luka, and guys guarding Luka continue to tend to go under because he's taking most of the shots. Hard to be the rebounder if you're also guarding the dude shooting from either mid-range or from 3. But now we got a lot more Tatum doing that as he's hunting Tatum and has had a lot more success scoring on Tatum than otherwise. That dips into the rebounds. He's only at 34 PRA in this series, and obviously in part because of the shooting, but after one really nice shooting game in game 3, went right back to just taking these like sidestep threes that are just not helping his cause at all. And to be fair, like it gets tiresome to drive to the rim and have 3 dudes on you by the time you get into the paint, like this Dallas Mavericks team has done. And so I would expect him to want to kick out a lot more. The pass percentage, I mentioned this a couple times now, on his drives is way high, like twice as high as it's been for him in the regular season, right? Like he's got about 2 times as many drives in this series as he was averaging in the regular season. So he went from about like 12 to like 20 in this series, but he's also passing at about a 55% rate off of those drives, 52% now after the last game, but like not able to get much off of it. Now going to have to rely on a lot more threes, but 1 assist is, a lot passing out to the 3-point line, but 1 assist isn't going to get you over the PRA the way it would if you actually got to the rim and made the 2 points, right? So the points are a big part of this as well. Kind of happy to fade the under 27.5 points if you wanted to. I think that's a pretty good look because once again, like he's got to hit probably 3 threes to do that. Something he has not done consistently. His 3-point prop is all the way down at 2.5. So we're talking about him getting a ton of free throws once again if he wants to get over this number. Something he has not done in this series, in part once again because he's passing off of those drives a lot more rather than trying to finish, which avoids the ability to get to the free throw line and get easy points. So just don't think there's going to be many easy points in this game, man. And it is down to 209.5 as a total. I would lean to the under once again. Still has not gone to 210 in this series after even after 122 points from the Mavs last game. The fear would be the Celtics just go unconscious from 3 and as a team, not even just Jason Tatum. The fear more of like the over on the game. Even if this team goes unconscious from 3, I don't think it's going to be Tatum hitting like 7 of them, right? I'm still very confident that it's going to be a very we're going to see another game of 6 dudes having 2 threes or more. Actually, one game had 7 guys on the Celtics with 2 threes made already in this series. So I would continue to expect a team effort, not too much Jason Tatum. And if anybody's going to try to take over from a points perspective, probably going to be Jaylen Brown once again. 24.5 is a little high for my liking. But while I'm finishing up here, and because I don't know if we're going to have any more hoop after this, I do think it's worth it to sprinkle on Al Horford over 2.5 points in the first quarter. This is a very high hit rate for Al, and you're getting plus 124 on DraftKings for Al Horford to get 3 points in the first quarter. If there's no KP, even if there is, once again, if they're using him sporadically, maybe you see him for like 2-3 minutes in the first quarter. But without Kristaps in the playoffs overall, Al's gone over in 8 of 12 games without him, 5 of 6 at home without Kristaps, looking at about 2.5 shots per game. So it doesn't give you a ton of confidence that the volume is necessarily there for him, but he's been getting very good looks, 8 minutes a game in the first quarter as well, which I would expect him to play once again in a game that I think they're going balls to the wall here, man. And they're just like, we don't need to go back to Dallas and put any more pressure on ourselves to have to maybe play in a game 7. So we'll just go all out here, which means Al, they're not saving him. If they don't win this game, and Al goes over and we get a nice high prop for him in the next game, definitely going under, because I think I could see him playing 40 minutes in this one, 25 in the next one, right? I think it's that kind of moment in time for Al Horford, which is like, keep him out there. We want this done. If we can't, then we'll look ahead to going to under for him in the next game.
Yeah, I mean, addressing Horford first, I was looking for a way to kind of bet on that desperation that he's going to have more than anybody else to be like, this is my last chance for sure to get this title. And the way he played in Game 5 against Cleveland and closing them out, you could see some great things from him. I don't know, if the shooting volume will be there. I don't know if the rebounding volume will be there because of the way he's tasked with boxing out and letting other guys come in and swoop in there. But this is a good way to bet on that. It's just like him coming out with some energy and getting his first stint as an older guy and being productive right from the jump. So I like that. The Tatum, I mean, I agree that like Dallas wants Tatum taking more shots. Like they want the offense to stagnate and make them take tough twos. That's mostly what Jason Tatum's taking. And then like 3-pointers wise, like he's like 30% in the playoffs the last 2 years. So like they would love for him to shoot more. And Boston's going to be at their best if Brown is scoring, because it means that the ball is humming around enough for him to attack, right? And they're getting enough threes, and Tatum's getting those secondary assists and less counting stats. I mean, it is a big like legacy game for Tatum, and maybe we look back on it and like, wow, oh, he dropped 30 and had a full line, and like he really like earned this championship and got everybody off his back. Maybe that's the scenario, but yeah, still the PRA is pretty damn high, and I wouldn't bet on him getting 30 points or 28, even where his prop is in the spot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The points are high. I don't think he's getting points and assists. I like adding the rebounds. Like I'm saying, and assists, because maybe he has a 7-8 assist game and 24, 25 points. I don't think he's good for just another book it 10 boards for Tatum, the way that you were able to prior in the playoffs, when he's now going to be responsible for guarding Luka, as that's going to be a big part of what they're looking for from Luka in Dallas specifically, is like get Tatum in this action on defense and come get this work. But that is all the time we have for you in Game 5. Might have another Game 6 here for you. So if we do, continue to follow along so that you can check out the play of props and best bets video that we will be bringing you. And until we see you next, happy betting.